20th meeting of this Rotary year. If you'll please stand, we're going to have the invocation, pledge, and national anthem led by past President John GLANCY.
I guess we need to start off talking about if we have any member concerns that ought to be brought to our attention before we have our invocation. Any concerns? Well, I guess that's good. Well, we're going into Thanksgiving, and I invite you all to, in spite of problems that I know we all got, I could tell you about mine, but I won't, that we adopt an attitude of thanksgiving and remember all the good that we have and the source of that good. So with that, let us pray. Dear ultimate source of blessings, we ask you to guide and bless our meeting today. As we look forward to Thanksgiving, we know we have much to be thankful for. We thank you for Rotary and what it stands for ethics, for helping others in our community and around the world, and for good fellowship and fun. We know some of our friends and neighbors are going through difficult times right now, and we hear every day about people we don't know who are hurting and need help. We ask your guidance so that we can act to bring help and comfort to those in need. We are thankful for other organizations like Los Barrios Unidos that we hear about today that are bringing needed help to people in our community. In this meeting and in all that we do in the coming days, help us to live as you want us to, following the four-way test and living a life of service above self. Please guide us to do all that we do in a thankful spirit as we use our blessings to bring blessings to others. Amen. And now join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we're going to sing the national anthem. Please join me. I'm not a real singer.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And now we're introducing guests. If you have brought a guest, if you and your guest will please stand so we can make sure that everyone is introduced properly. We're so glad each of y'all are here.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce the Chief Development Officer of Los Barrios Unidos, now called LBU Clinic, Jolene Bagwell. And our speaker tonight is Leonor Marquez. I'll be introducing her later.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to introduce our honored guests today. First, I have Mr. Carlos Velazquez, who is with the Parks Department with Highland Park. Welcome. Next, I have Officer Edwards, who's with University Park. You're going to learn more about them shortly, but welcome them, please.
And I'd like to introduce my wife, Jan, who's joining us today.
and another guest from the brown table over here. Please welcome my guest, Gene Mcquarter. Gene is originally from Longview, but has recently moved to Dallas. He is a member of the Longview Rotary Club for the last, well, we think it's about 45 years. Had perfect attendance up until one point of 36 years down there. So he is kind of sort of looking for a new Rotary Club, and I said, I got a deal for you. So please welcome my guest, Gene Mcquarter.
Thank you, President Richard. I'd like to once again introduce Liz Landon. Liz, we just had the honor of interviewing her, Eric and I, for membership in the club. She is a phenomenal future addition to the club. Certainly makes Eric and I look bad with everything she's done. But she is in the vice president in the commercial banking group at JP Morgan. Extremely excited to have her. Little fun fact, she's actually known Paul Pyrock since college, so if you ever want to get the dirt on Paul, come talk to Liz.
That's it. That's it.
And I'm thrilled to introduce my good friend Elisa Garcia. She's here visiting again. She's attended some of our socials and our service projects, and so she's a professor at a number of junior colleges here in Dallas. We're so thrilled to have her visit today. Welcome, Elisa. Special welcome to each of our guests. We're so thrilled that each of y'all are here. Thank you. And now we're going to have our Happy Bucks. And so this is where you share something that you're really happy about, and all of those funds go towards our honorees and other areas that our club is supporting throughout the year. So they always go to a good place. And I'll go ahead and start it off. After the meeting, I'm leaving with some friends to go to Broken Bow, and so I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm also very happy to see my good friend Siobhan here. You know, she lost her dad, and so we're really thrilled to see her here. Thank you. Welcome, Siobhan.
Well, I am happy for my Rotary family, and I wish each of you a happy Thanksgiving with your families.
Thank you, Barb. Cubby?
The month of November is Veterans Month.
There you go. Thank you, sir.
I'm thankful that my family, my son and my daughter, are going to be here for Thanksgiving.
It's the big game for the SMU Ponies. They're playing Cincinnati. $5. Go Ponies.
Well, Nate beat me to the ponies, but I know I never get to brag on my kids at all, so I will say the Christ the King football team won the last 2 weeks in overtime. They beat St. Monica and then beat St. Rita last week, and so they play tomorrow at 1:30 in the Catholic Bowl, the championship of Dallas. So super excited for that. So go Crusaders.
Well, that is exciting.
I am pleased to announce we're underway at the Salvation Army with our Activity Center project. Yesterday we started pulling up plants and taking out the old pavers, and we're well on our way to reconstructing that area over there. And look at the chili luncheon at Salvation Army. We're going to invite all y'all to come out and see it, where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Fabulous. And now I'd like to call on Tiffany Richmond, who's going to introduce our incredible public service honorees for November.
Thank you, Happy. It's my pleasure to introduce our honorees today. I'm going to start with Sergeant Edwards, who has worked full-time for the City of University Park since 2007 and served in law enforcement for over 30 years. He also worked previously as a police officer for the Veterans Association Bureau of Engraving and Printing and has as a federal air marshal with the Department of Homeland Security. In 1989, Sergeant Edwards graduated from Grambling State University with a Bachelor's of Science in Criminal Justice. Sergeant Edwards has served as a patrol officer and drug abuse resistance education, or DARE, officer while working at University Park. He holds a Master Peace Officer certification from the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, is certified as a law enforcement instructor, is certified as a DARE officer, is certified as a mental health peace officer, and is a certified SRO officer. We want to take this opportunity to thank you very much for your service. And if you could please come up and join me on the stage, thank you. Next up, we have Carlos Velazquez, who is a parks maintenance worker for the town of Highland Park. He has been with the town for 6 years, assisting with maintaining the beautiful green spaces, parks, assisting with maintaining all the beautiful green spaces and parks, coordinating town special events, assisting with landscaping design for season flower beds, and helps to coordinate contractors. During the summer, Carlos took on the responsibility of getting the pool repaired after the winter storm and maintained a pool operation for the summer. Previously, he was a logistics driver for Pepsi Company and also worked for the City of Dallas Water Distribution Department for 8 years. Carlos was selected as a 2019 Employee of the Year because he's always dependable, first to volunteer, and is always willing to teach and assist fellow employees. There is never a time that he cannot be counted on. Carlos brings a cheerful attitude to his work and has an amazing artistic talent. His creative mind brings new ideas and solutions to any discussion and is evident in the color beds at the Parks Town Hall. Carlos is married to Heather Velazquez for 13 years and have 3 children, Alana, Noah, and Leo. In his free time, he coaches his son's basketball team and even enjoys playing baseball and softball when given the chance. His favorite football team is, of course, the Dallas Cowboys. There's no other. Please join me in welcoming Carlos to the stage. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
We're so glad y'all are here today. Tom Swift is going to introduce our new member, English mentor. Come on up, Tom, in English.
So it is always a great Friday when we are able to welcome a new member to our club. English Mentor will be a wonderful addition. She is very accomplished, and I don't want to shortchange her, so I'm going to read a few notes. She got her BFA from Baylor. Did I hear something about Baylor in Oklahoma? Anybody here from Oklahoma? You can kiss her ring after the meeting. Do you have your ring? Don't have your Baylor ring? Okay, we'll get you one. Definitely there's some other Baylor folks in here, right? Yeah? Okay. She also got a Bachelor of Science for interior design from Abilene Christian. She's a qualified interior designer. Born in Houston, but grew up in Dallas, attended Highland Park High School. She's done a lot of charitable work over the years for the eQuest Center for Therapeutic Riding, due largely to her love of horses from an early age. That love has also been involved in her creating and illustrating 3 different books on the subject. So she has many talents. She's worked with youth, and she's excited to be a member of our club. And please welcome English Minter. So this is your welcome packet. There's a page in there about hoops you need to jump through before you get your permanent badge. In the meantime, you get to wear that and you don't have to do one of those stickies anymore.
Awesome. Welcome, English.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
She already attended a board meeting this past Wednesday, so she's on her way to getting that red badge checklist completed. Way to go, English. Bill Sleeper is now going to give our membership minute. Come on up, past President Bill Sleeper.
Well, it was 4 decades ago that past President Doug Means and I stood on this dais and gave our new member talk. 4 decades. It's a little hard to say what Rotary has meant to me in a short amount of time. I'm not going to take 8 hours like somebody did in Washington last night. Anyway, when I joined this club, I learned quickly that there was an attribute, a cultural matter that this club subscribes to. And it meant a lot to me. I had been in the JCs. Anybody been in the JCs? Yeah, Nate, okay. The JCs are for young people getting started in business and their profession and so on. And we had no money at all, so we spent our time in fundraising. We spent all our time in fundraising, so if we ever raised any funds, which was doubtful, we didn't have any time to do the mission. Well, I got into Rotary, this club, not all Rotary, but this club, and found out that we have a tradition of deciding what we want to do, in other words, the strategic missions, and then finding a way to finance it. And we do that through generosity of members and certainly the generosity of our business friends and partners. Now, what does that mean? That means that a new member gets to sit and enjoy it and doesn't get hounded for money, but you feel like as soon as you can give some money, you will. And I think that's worked out beautifully. There are 3 big projects that we've done while I've been in Rotary that are enormous and maybe not the most important, maybe not the most significant, but maybe. One, in the early 80s, this club raised $120,000 in support of the Polio Plus program of Rotary. And as you know, to this day, it's almost eradicated in the world. The second, in the 2000s, we developed the Child's Play at Bachman. Now, what was interesting about that is so many of us turned bolts and nuts to help build that thing. Shortly after we did that, I took my kids who were teenagers, but I wanted them to see what we had worked on. There was this little tunnel thing, and this little kid came out and he looked through the tunnel with a smile on his face, and he was having a ball, and I thought, we hit that home run. The third thing was getting our box truck, and Karen says we want to get a box truck for the food bank, and I thought, whoa, that's too much money. We raised, what was it, $250,000 so we could fund that box truck and operations. That was funded, as the other projects, by generous people and through enormously generous contributions from our business friends and so on. Well, throughout all of this, I have learned that, well, I really have a motto. For anyone coming in the club, I recommend 3 things. One is make friends. Where else can you go and meet friends in a room and they're all friendly and they're all four-way test people, wherever that is? Second, contribute, do projects, help people, serve. And I'm speaking to the new Rotarian, a new Rotarian, mythical new Rotarian, because that's how you get involved. And the third, above all, in my estimation, is have fun. Rotary is fun. And if you get involved, you will have fun. Work hard, have fun, contribute, and it's a good place to be. Thanks.
Past President Barb is going to tell us about the slate for next year.
All right. Well, here we are. This is officially the per our bylaws. We'll be at a general meeting taking a vote on our slate of officers and directors for next year, starting July of 2022. So with that, if you're in the room, I would like for you to stand when I call your name, and after that, we'll ask for a vote of the membership. The nominations are for President Jeff McNaughton, President-elect Jeff Sheehan, Vice President Nolan Duck, Secretary Pat Martin, Treasurer Mark Kasher. We now have 7 directors since you approved that 2 weeks ago. Director number 1, John Brown. Second, Jen Hammond. Third, Kyle Marmillion. Sarah Ollier, Valerie Palin, Marcia Zeidel, and Mark Neese. And our director at large will be Paul Pyrock, and our immediate past president, Happy Franklin, Sergeant at Arms, Kathy Wall, and Parliamentarian Lee Wagner. Having heard the slate of officers, do I have someone that would like to move to approve this slate? Thank you, Greg. I knew I could count on you. If I could have a second. Thank you, Holly. And with that, any discussion? And now we need a vote. All in favor say aye, loud and proud. And any opposed? And a round of applause for the new officers and directors of the club.
Very excited about next year's slate. And a special welcome to John Brown's wife. They're celebrating 50 years this year, next year? Next year. Very exciting. Congratulations. We have a few announcements that if you you're paying in 2 dues payments, the second dues payment is due by November 30th. You can pay online or give a check to PHILLIP Bankhead. Our SNIDER Plaza tree lighting, if Tanya, if you'll please stand. So people can have any questions, they can catch you after the meeting. We would love for you to sign up on the volunteer sign up. There's a few spots left, and we can always take in some more sponsors. And so please see Tanya immediately after the meeting. If you want to be a sponsor, you can sign up online. There's a few spots, and we'd love to get that all filled up today. Our meeting, so keep in mind, there's no meeting next week, so don't come here after Thanksgiving. Just enjoy your Friday. And then Friday, December 3rd, we're going to meet at the Salvation Army. We never meet here for our club meetings in December because Maggiano's is booked with parties, and so we always have 2 club meetings off-site. And we'd love for you to attend both of those meetings. Our Friday, December 3rd meeting is going to be at the Salvation Army. I'll be pushing those emails out. They're going to have a great program for us, and we can take a look at some of the project that's going on out there. It's going to be very exciting. And then Thursday, December 9th is our holiday party at Tom Rhodes' home. It's going to be really fabulous. The food's going to be wonderful. I'd love for you to register and pay online. I've got to give a count soon, so if you go ahead and go online and pay, that'd be terrific. And then the next day after the party is Friday, December 10th. We're going to meet at the Park City Club. You need to register and pay online. We have a great program that day. We're on holiday trees out at the Dallas Arboretum. You won't want to miss that. if you've noticed, it's kind of time-consuming to go through the line. Maggiano's is working through some things to make payment faster, but past President Barb suggested perhaps we should all just start paying with cash, like a $20 bill, and so that'll help make checkout faster. So consider doing that. Might make it faster for you. Check out the TV monitors for other announcements, and then if our Foundation Chair, Greg Pape, will come up and give us an update on the Rotary Foundation. Welcome, Greg.
Sarah Ollier is going to join me. We want to give you an update on polio, some quick 6 factoids. What is poliomyelitis? It's an infectious viral disease that affects the central nervous system and can cause temporary or permanent paralysis. 2, polio mainly affects children under the age of 5. 3, there's no cure, but polio is preventable with a vaccine. 4, only 2 countries remain endemic, Pakistan, Afghanistan. And 5, we reduced cases by 99.9% since 1988. Until we eliminate polio, every child is at risk. It's necessary just to expand a little on the composition of this virus so you can see the progress that the Rotary Foundation has made since 1985. That is, there are 3 poliovirus serotypes, type 1, 2, and 3. Immunity to one serotype does not produce significant immunity to the other serotypes. That's how we distinguish this virus. The annual number of wild poliovirus cases has declined by more than 99% worldwide from an estimated 350,000 cases in 1988, just that in that year, when the Global Eradication Initiative was launched. Of the 3 serotypes of wild poliovirus, type 2 was certified as eradicated worldwide in 2015. And type 3 was certified worldwide as eradicated in 2018. So we're down to 1 stereotype. And that is the last evidence of wild polio type 1 transmission in Nigeria was September 18, leaving only 2 polio endemic countries with type 1, Pakistan, Afghanistan. 5 out of the 6 World Health Organization regions are now certified wild poliovirus free. Africa, the Americas, Europe, Southeast Asia, and the Western Pacific. Without our polio eradication efforts, more than 18 million people who are currently healthy would have been paralyzed by this virus. The Rotary Foundation makes things happen worldwide. And now Sarah Ollier is going to tell us how we can contribute to the Rotary Foundation painlessly.
So if you're wondering how do you include Rotary in your overall estate plan or lifetime gifting plan, during life you can easily make a contribution just by writing a check, or if you're someone who wants a write-off this year and you are expecting your RMDs or haven't taken your RMDs this year, you can redirect those to Rotary. Otherwise, a common way to give and painlessly, as Mr. Pape just said, is to do it post-death, right? And so you can do that by beneficiary designation or by adding them to your will. And you can use either beneficiary designations on pre-tax assets are usually where you get the most bang for your buck if you're going to do that by at your time of death. So Rotary, I think one of the most amazing things about your gift to Rotary is that it's stewarded in perpetuity. It's only the principle of your principle is maintained, and it's the interest from your gift that funds these great works that happen all over the world. And so how many times can you actually give to an organization where you say, I'm giving a gift for perpetuity? So Rotary is pleased to confer benefactor status on those who make commitments of future gifts to the endowment in their estate plans or outright gifts of $1,000 to $9,999 dollars in gifts to the endowment. There's a bequest society for those who've made a gift commitment of a future gift of over $10,000 or more to the Rotary Foundation. or a named fund. You can personalize your legacy with a separately identified fund that bears your name, your family's name, or the name of a loved one with larger gifts. And it may be possible to more narrowly direct the direct use of those funds with a named fund. And the minimum for those is $25,000. So if you have any questions, Greg or I would be happy to discuss that with you. Thank you.
Thank you both. Y'all do a lot for our club. And now I'd like to call on Sean Foster, who is going to do the PCR Marketplace Advertiser announcement today. Please come on up, Sean.
Okay, now a word from our sponsor. For our guest, I'll just point out the hub here, which has our advertisers in it. That helps us raise money for the club. About $7,500 a year, I think, is what the hub raises. So that's what this little 90-second minutes of time you're paying for it by hearing me. Today's advertisers, Advanced ERs. Michelle Brown, are you here? You can see we have a lot of lovely and talented advertisers, and she is one of them today. The name of she's here for Advanced ER Park Cities is a freestanding emergency room center providing concierge level of care in Uptown, Park Cities, and Addison areas. They provide emergency medical care in dedicated medical facilities outside of traditional hospital emergency rooms. Now, their facilities are some of the best and most luxurious in town. Team physicians and professional staff members are always at your service regardless of the time of day, in other words, 24/7. They provide much more than your standard after-hours urgent care. With on-site labs, pharmacy, and imaging, they can handle your condition. They offer complimentary treatments for general health, healing, and well-being. Their goal is to model and advance a standard of integrative healthcare. They achieve this goal through integration, compassion, expertise, time. Every professional that provides services at their center is dedicated to your good health and wellness. They do their best so you live a full and healthy life and spend as little as time as possible at the ER. So you're an excellent hand at Advanced ER, so contact them today, and let's give them a round of applause.
Yes, thank you so much, Advanced ER, Michelle Brown, and Dr. Pettit. They are big sponsors for the SNIDER Plaza tree lighting. Please make sure that you put that on your calendar for this Sunday from 1 until 6. It's going to be a great way to kick off the holiday season. Thank you, Advanced ER. And now, Rob Levy is going to tell us about Readers to Leaders and our fabulous program. Come on up, Rob.
Thank you, President Happy. Everybody hear me okay? All right. Have been the club liaison between Readers to Leaders. I see a lot of new faces here since we started volunteering, and I had the CEO here, but it's going live and well. They moved to new larger headquarters on Singleton and Hampton Road in the area of West Dallas, which is probably the biggest need area for literacy. DISD is not doing exactly an admirable job of getting third graders to read at the third grade level. So it's really impactful. These are the kids that need it the most, and volunteering is fun. It's not too long. The biggest disadvantage is driving to West Dallas, but they also have other locations now in DISD schools or charter schools affiliated with this program. And they're all over the Metroplex. And in the interest of time, I've got a program to introduce too. So if you're interested in volunteering, Some of these areas they serve are besides West Dallas, or the Love Field area, and also Uptown. So the compliments, I just can't tell you how good I feel about it when I leave and see a child, first, second, or third grader, make progress. The sessions with a child are usually 40 minutes. To volunteer, you need to have a DISD clearance background check. So I'll be hanging out right over here after the meeting. If you're interested, come talk to me for a minute and I will get you connected. Okay. Our speaker today is Leonor Marquez, known in some circles as the Manitos lady. She is an eminent Manitos artist, which means stick figures. And she's laughing and smiling because it's true. It's true. And she has been in community health for a long time. The clinic just celebrated their community clinic called LBU, or Los Barrios Unidos, just celebrated their 50th anniversary. They serve the underserved. She's going to give you a lot more details. And just wanted to let you know she's a social worker by original training, has served with all kinds of organizations, with LBU for 30 years, out of 30 years, 17 years, and as CEO. So come on up, Leonor.
Thank you, Rob. It's really an honor to be here. I really wish to commend all of you for being so connected. This has been a really difficult couple of years. We're now going on 2 years, but you are obviously very well connected in taking care of each other, looking out for each other. And I wish to commend you for being a service organization. That's really very impressive. And I love that polio is almost gone. So very, very, very cool. A very nice segue into what I want to talk about today. So the presentation is called, I think we have some slides, Poverty and Health. And, you know, I could spend 15, 20 minutes describing what poverty is, but what is poverty? I won't, but what does poverty mean to you? What do you think of when you hear that word? You think homeless, you think lack of housing? Inability to take care of your basic needs. It doesn't necessarily mean a homeless person on the street that doesn't have anything. It means you can't pay your bills, maybe unstable housing, lack of health care. Thank you, that's an even better segue. So what, yes. So lack of health care, lack of health care access. Now, is there something inherently different about the body, a person, the physical body of someone who's poor and someone who's wealthy? No. What makes the difference in health outcomes? Somebody said access to health care. Okay, so what we do at Los Barrios Unidos, and we recently rebranded, we're Los Barrios Unidos Community Clinic Incorporated. It's quite a mouthful. It's LBU Community Clinic, or LBU West Dallas, LBU, depending on our location, LBU Oak Cliff. Most of who we take care of, and I mean 93% of who we take care of, are low-income folks, okay? The vast majority are uninsured, and those aren't one and the same. You can be low income and have insurance, and you can be uninsured and high income, right? In this country, a lot of our insurance is covered by whom? Your employer, right, for the most part. So if you have the kind of job that doesn't have health insurance, or if you have the kind of job where health insurance is really cost prohibitive, it might be $1,200 a month, you know, you sort of sometimes you take your chances and go without insurance. So there's two different things. It's uninsured and low income. But we take care of folks at Los Barrios Unidos with or without insurance, medium income, high income, low income. We take care of all of them. Who's ever heard of Los Barrios Unidos Community Clinic before you read my bio or before? Okay, I see a couple. Okay, good. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. So what are we? What do we do? Well, I'd like to talk about who community health centers are in this country.
Oh, I forgot the clicker. Thank you, Jolene. And let me introduce my lovely assistant. She's not my lovely assistant. She's my Chief Development Officer, Jolene Bagwell. Thank you for being here. Who, by the way, is herself very civic-oriented and philanthropic. She is the Chief Development Officer, which means she, in her 13 years with the organization, almost 14 years, has raised millions. It really is in the millions of dollars. So thank you, Jolene. So community health centers in the United States. We take care of about 8% of the population. So think about that. You know, when you think sort of, you know, clinic or barrio clinic or what, you probably have something conjured up in your mind. It is in our case, a Joint Commission accredited. If you're in healthcare, Joint Commission is a gold standard. Okay, they're not people who the doctors that may or may not show up. These are paid professionals that show up. In the case of, go ahead and do the next slide. So community health centers, you hear them called FQHCs or CHCs, community health centers, CHCs, or neighborhood clinics, kind of all of the same thing. Next slide. We offer primary care. It's not more magical than that. It's like your family doctor, okay? It's primary care plus. So we do prenatal care, we do pediatric care, we do newborn care. We do treatment of pretty much all of the disease processes that all of us, many of us suffer: asthma, high blood pressure, diabetes, and just kind of normal aches and pains. We take care of all of that, just like your family doctor would. Next slide. I think we have a couple of slides of our service line. Wellness visits, vaccines. We do lots and lots of COVID vaccines. I'll talk a little bit more about our COVID response. And behavioral health. So behavioral health at our clinic might be counseling, psychotherapy. I started out, like Rob said, I did start out as a social worker many decades ago, was kind of a one-on-one therapist for either couples or individuals or families, and sometimes groups. We don't do too much group therapy these days, but there's one-on-one, and then there's also what we call a warm handoff. The days of coming in, scheduling an appointment, having a 50-minute, what we call the 50-minute hour of, psychotherapy. That almost doesn't exist in our shop anymore. It's quick crisis intervention. Okay, why does that matter? When you have a patient come in, first of all, most people are going to ask for behavioral services through their family doctor. Did you know that? You're going to you're more likely to talk to your family doctor than to call a counselor or to look for a psychiatrist. So we think it's really important to marry those two, to have the behavioral health as an integral part of behavioral health as an integral part of physical health. But the 50 minutes, it's not for the 50-minute hour necessarily. It's a crisis intervention to take care of what's going on today. Anyway, next slide. Whoops. Okay, so who are we? We're, as one of the community health centers in the United States, we're one of 1,400. We are in the neighborhood of 13,000 clinic sites. So Los Barrios Unidos, or LBU Community Clinic, is one organization, but we have 4 locations. And 30 million patients served across the country. We're a player. It's 8 to 10% of the population. It's a significant component of the population. We are governed by a consumer-based board. What does that mean? Most of the patients that come through our doors are low income. A lot do not have health insurance. Our governing board are consumers. Okay. In the case of us, I think it's 13 board members, and 8 of them are consumers. Okay. So they're the parents of pediatric patients, or someone who's gotten their prenatal care with us, or an elderly person who has been coming here for decades. Think about what that means in being community-based. Okay. That is someone, my boss as a board of directors, my boss, those people know what it's like to be uninsured. They know what it's like to have to postpone health care. So I think that community-based governance is really important, and part of what makes us different than other nonprofits and other healthcare. Next slide. we're an economic driver. So we forget just that, you know, we're not just providing health care, but because we're spending, in our case, $25 million a year on salaries, on supplies, and on rent and utilities, that's an economic driver itself. So think of what that means upstream and downstream. And then how many billions that turns out to be. Next slide. Mark, you may need to. She says sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so just in Texas. So just in Texas, now this is a big state. So just in Texas, it's 1.6 million. We are the single largest single largest primary care entity. Now we're made up of 72 health centers, but we're taking care of 1.6 million. Those are 3-day-old babies, and those are people in their 80s, 90s, and beyond. There are, let's see, health centers, okay, again, the economic driver that community health centers are. Okay, next slide. Now specifically about LBU Community Clinic. We have 4 locations, and our first doesn't exist anymore. It was a couple of trailers that were resurrected there in West Dallas. Those don't exist anymore. We have the top left corner is our largest clinic. It's located in West Dallas. The one to the right under that, they're both in West Dallas, very near each other on the same city block. One is pediatrics, primarily pediatrics, and the other is we've got adult care in there, dental, WIC, and how come I'm blanking? Prenatal care. Did I say that? And anyway, so in West Dallas. Now, pediatrics actually is located everywhere. The pediatrics, the children, but we have one very large clinic in West Dallas. And then we've got a clinic in Oak Cliff. And then the bottom right is our newest clinic. It's been open 3 months, a little bit more than 3 months, and it is our at South Oak Cliff location. And we're very proud of that location. And who we are. Can you go back one? 30,000 unique patients. So man, woman, and child, newborn baby, that's you know, that they're counted as one. And then they might come in just one time, they might come in 2 times, they might come in 10 times if it's a prenatal patient, if it's a newborn. Who here, probably most of you are parents. That first year of life, how many times do you take the kid to the doctor? Once, twice? Like 8. A lot, if they're healthy. That's if they're sick and or excessively worried parents, you're gonna go more. But so when you think of it averages to when you count man, woman, and child, prenatal care, newborn care, and all of that, it's 1 to 3. Okay, one patient comes on average of 3 times, knowing that some only come once and some come 10 times. Next slide. Like I said, 93% of our patients are low income. And when I say low income here, I mean card carrying low income. That means not broke, not just can't pay, but what the government decides is poverty. Okay, so if we did a couple of slides, I won't, but if there were a couple of slides on poverty, the poverty level for a family of 1 is something like $11,000. Okay, so for a family of 4, it's something like $24,000. Can you imagine, can you even pay rent on that kind of income? That's what we mean by low, that's not what we define, that's what the U.S. The U.S. government defines, and it's published every year, it is adjusted every year for inflation, and it doesn't move very much, as you can imagine. So when we say 93%, we're talking about, you know, a whole lot of people making very low income. Most of our folks are uninsured, a good 59% of them. Children tend to be insured a little bit better, at least in our place, because of CHIP and Medicaid. If most of our population is low income, CHIP and Medicaid will cover the children. Texas does not have a Medicaid expansion, so almost all of our adults, something like more than 90%, do not have health insurance. When they do have private health insurance, it tends to be our own employees. The Blue Cross Blue Shield that we provide our employees, and maybe 3% of private insurance. So the vast majority of our folks are low income and have CHIP and Medicaid is what the health insurance that low income folks get. We do about 1,100 infant deliveries a year. Not that we deliver them in the clinic, but we do the prenatal care that and when the babies are born, it's somewhere between 1,000 to 1,500. 1,500 being one of the bigger years. And there's with the pandemic, there's actually fewer. Contrary to kind of myth that there's more babies coming out of the pandemic, there aren't. It's actually a little bit of a slump. And okay, we've talked about that. Okay, so with all of that, who pays for the health care? How do we pay for the health care? Okay, if in this country you get health care because you have an insurance card, who pays for it when you don't have that insurance card? Okay, well in our case, here's how we pay for it. This year, now this is the kind of the money that's coming in. This is our current fiscal year, meaning right now in the big middle of COVID. Okay. Pre-pandemic, it looks different, okay? Half of the money coming in, and when I say half, like half of the $25 million that it takes to run the organization, half of it comes from the federal government these days. A normal year is about a third, okay? A normal year, 2/3 comes from our own patients when they pay their sliding fee scale, when we bill CHIP, when they pay with their private insurance. So I don't know if that's surprising to you. When you hear a community health center, an FQHC, okay, it's all government run. Well, this year, half, okay? And my goodness, thank goodness, right? Boy, that's loud, sorry. So thank goodness for the federal assistant. It's temporary, and that is our tax dollars at work. This is why we pay taxes. This is one of the rainy days, not the famous Texas rainy day fund, but this is why we pay taxes. A normal year, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, will be the vast majority of the way we support the clinic is our own patients. And the working poor who come to our clinics pay their bills. Sort of a normal collection rate is maybe 90%. Now, if you're running a business and you're collecting 90%, that's pretty cool. Whatever the business, we want 100%, but there are people that are going to never pay, right? Or they'll pay 50%, right? I'm seeing some nods. So when we can bank on 90%, 92%, it's been as high as 96%, it's pretty impressive. So a normal year, this is not a charity, this is not a hand, they're paying for themselves. I'm very proud of that. We also get state grants, and in the form of WIC, we have a Women, Infants, and Children program, which is a food nutrition program, and it used to be a voucher system like food stamps, where there was actually literally a piece of paper that you carry to the store. Now it's an electronic benefits card, a little credit card looking thing. We do issue those for income eligible folks. And then we do some fundraising. So Jolene is responsible, she and her team write the grants to individuals, to private foundations. And so all of that makes up how we take care of healthcare. Okay, so that's actually most of the verbiage. I'm going to kind of want to make it a little more dialogue-y right now. Our COVID response. So I don't know where you are when it was deemed a pandemic, and where you were when you heard Clay Jenkins declare that this is, that we're shutting down and all of that. Very scary stuff. You know what was really super scary for me when they canceled basketball? Remember that? National, not because I'm a fan, but wait a minute, what? The NBA is shutting things down? This is serious. So in the coming weeks and months that followed, we had an issue to contend with, and that is a lot of fear with our own staff, and we're talking about, professionally trained physicians and nurses that were suddenly very afraid to come to work. So think about that. They couldn't telecommute, not then. We had patients who were still needed prenatal care, still needed their shots, still needed all that didn't come in. Jolene and I sort of strategized initially. It's like, okay, we're not going to do any media interviews because we're going to be inundated. People will just come. We don't have enough PPE. The opposite happened. People stayed away. That's very scary. The pandemic that's going to hit in 10 years is all those people that didn't take care of their diabetes, all those people that didn't take care of their high blood pressure. So double whammy of patients not coming in, providers, meaning the doctors, the nurses, the clerks, being afraid. Very scary. Next slide. What we did was immediately, and I mean within a couple of days, put people who could telecommute, let them telecommute, accounting, HR. Of course, everyone is so essential and they have to be on site. Not necessarily. Yes, we're essential, but we can work from afar. I'm an example of that. I have an office that I thought, you know what, I'm going to be gone a couple of months. What do I need? I'm going to thinking the pandemic is going to be 2-3 months. I'll take what I need. That will free up my office to be a clinic or to be where a couple of doctors could be there doing telehealth because we had to spread out. That's the kind of stuff, Jolene, the same kind of thing. We had to give up, and it totally the right thing to do. Extremely strict workplace controls, which are very annoying but very safe. We have, I think, the lowest, LBU Community Clinic has the lowest employee infection rate that I know of. That's the truth. I mean, something like 2%. Some health centers have 20%. Okay, so it's taxing, but again, that's one way to take care of your population, your patients, and your workforce. Next slide. So thousands and thousands of tests as of since April, something like 5,200 COVID tests were performed. Now, in those early days, we didn't have the reagents. We couldn't do the tests. I mean, it was so new. I mean, the country barely had them. We had to send them to the mega sites, but more and more we were able to get them to do, get the supplies to do it in-house. So the tests themselves, and then we've done somewhere in the neighborhood of 12,000 COVID-related visits. That's doctor-patient visits. Next slide. So again, the reworking the work, the re-engineering the workplace. So we feel like we invented it, but no, we thought we were really special and very cool because we pivoted to telemarketing, telehealth like that, like within maybe a week and a half. We did, drive up clinic. We did curbside pharmacy. We weren't special. We were different. Everyone was doing that, but it's very cool. We were able to pivot. How many times have you used that word yourself? We usually do it this way. We had to pivot and do it this way. We're very resourceful, we humans. Anyway, but during the time, of course, employees were afraid of losing their jobs. We just, together with our own kind of resources, re-engineering jobs and that kind of thing. Like we pretty much shut down our dental program for a while. We didn't lay them off. We had them doing some other things. So we had a lot of job shift that occurred. Next slide. And so these are just more examples of this kind of thing. This was a drive-through COVID shot event and very well received. Patients can stay in their car. We've done flu events like that, flu drives like that. Next slide. Again, this was in the early days when there were lines and lines of folks to get a COVID shot. Back in March and April, we thought, oh my gosh, we're going to be doing shots forever and ever. We thought there was always going to be in the line, have a long line, and how do you do that with these controls, enforcing the spacing and wearing masks and all that kind of stuff. Well, then what happened? Now, I don't know if any of you went to one of the mega sites to get your shot. Okay, very, very successful. A lot of patients didn't trust the mega sites. It's not my neighborhood. They don't speak my language. I don't know. I'd rather go to my own doctor. So just as soon as we could, we started doing that. Well, our response was just like the mega sites, hundreds and hundreds of people. I think one day we did 800 shots. Now that's a lot of shots for a non-mega site, for a community care clinic. So we thought it was going to be months and months like that. How long was it? What have you seen in the community? I remember going to a webinar and they said, you know, it's not always going to be like this. It's going to be a case where we have a lot of vaccines and no one wants to get it. No, that's not going to happen. Well, that's exactly what's happening. And especially with a hard-to-reach population, have you heard that? And we still have quite a few people in our, not employees so much, but in our community who are, you know, I don't know, I'm still nervous. I'm worried about what I hear on social media. Okay, so actually as of today, we've done somewhere in the neighborhood of 24,000 first, second, and third vaccines. So we're very proud of that. I think I'm sort of towards the end. Next slide. Oh, so the big point, what wanted you to be really mindful of taking care of each other, taking care of your workforce. We're in a really scary, it's a scary time to be in healthcare, right? And law enforcement. It's a scary time to be in law enforcement because you don't know who you're looking at and you don't know who the house you're going into. I've got some family members in law enforcement and you know they may or may not be wearing masks, they may or may not distance and that kind of thing, and you may not be able to. So it's a scary time. So you've heard, a lot of you in this room I'm sure are affected by people who have quit their jobs or you have gone to places where they've had a lot of people leave. Why? They're like, this is a time to sort of rethink. Do I even want to be in healthcare anymore? Do I want to be, we haven't lost any doctors saying I don't want to be a doctor anymore, but we have lost a lot of people saying, I don't want to be a medical assistant anymore. You know, I can make more money, you know, name the industry, okay? So how do we take care of our people? It's not something we woke up today and said, oh my goodness, people are leaving, let's do something. I think we've always been employee-centric. I think we're patients first, but then who's going to take care of the patients if the people aren't here, if our employees aren't here? So at the start of the pandemic, we kind of upped our game. And this particular, one of the first things we did is had a healthcare parade. We had the telecommuters decorate our cars and have signs, and we drove to the clinics, and you know, it was orchestrated, we say on Tuesday the 14th of, I think it was March or whatever it was. No, March, it would have been like June. Said we're going to show up at 8 o'clock at this clinic and then we're gonna drive to the next one. And you know, we're honking our horns and with our signs saying, you know, way to go health workers. The staff there was just sobbing. They didn't know we were gonna be there, so they were just sobbing. That was one way to say thank you. Thank you for showing up for work today and thank you for being a healthcare worker. So stuff like that, they loved it. Next slide. So we did a trunk or treat. That was another thing that they really, really loved. And I know, I think I'm done. Okay, and other things like coronavirus. It's coronavirus. Corona is Spanish for what? Crown. So we had a royalty day. We just made up stuff. We're making up things, fun things to do, and then giving people $100 prizes if they were the best costume. So anyway, big important lesson for me was taking care of your staff, taking care of each other, and actually our turnover rate is incredibly low. It's 19%. How come no one's going, wow? I've talked with other healthcare people, it's 30 and 35%. So all of this stuff, and we didn't just start with coronavirus, we've done it all along. So anyway, thank you so much for having me here. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
So thank you so much for joining us. It was I really had no idea about your program, and y'all take care of so many people. We really enjoyed your program, and please stay afterwards. I'm sure a lot of people have questions. A book is being placed in your honor at McShann Elementary.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
And after the meeting, I'd like to get a picture with you in front of our public image screen.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Remember, next week's meeting, there's no meeting, so just have a good time. And English Mentor is going to provide the four-way test if you'll rise for the four-way test. Thank you.
Okay, so the four-way test. of the things we think, say, and do. First is the truth. Second, it's fair to all concerned. 3 will be goodwill and better friendships. 4 will be beneficial to all concerned.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
Good job, Happy.
Time the next week. That'll be a good meeting. Salvation Army. Okay.